In the fields of botany and ecology, you often need to differentiate between and identify different species of plants. The skill can be vital in certain professions, like forestry, where being able to identify whether a tree is invasive or a good source of lumber can impact the health and profitability of a forest. If, like most people, you can't identify trees off of sight alone, a field guide like this one can be a very useful resource. Here I have a field guide to trees and shrubs, field marks of all trees, shrubs, and woody vines that grow wild in the northeastern and north-central United States and in southern, eastern, and south-central Canada by George Petridis. All you need to use this book is a sample of the plant you want to identify, and a hand lens can be useful to observe the finer characteristics. The first step is to find what section of the book your specimen belongs to. The sections are separated by the arrangement of the leaves. Plants with leaves directly opposite of each other belong to groups 2 and 3, while leaves that alternate on the twig belong to groups 4 and 5. Plants with compounded leaves, where multiple individual leaves share a single leaf stalk, belong to groups 2 and 4. Section 1 is for all plants that do not have broad leaves, but rather needle-like or scale-like leaves. Once you've decided what section your specimen belongs to, the next step is to turn to the end of that section in the book, where there are detailed descriptions and illustrations of the twig, bud, and leaf characteristics for each species in that section. These drawings are called plates, and in this book, pages with plates are marked by a green triangle in the upper right-hand corner. Look through the plates and compare the characteristics of your sample to each. I found it's easiest to start by finding plates with similarly shaped leaves and then narrowing down my selections by comparing the finer details of my sample. Once you've found a possible match, go to that species specific entry in the book where it more accurately and thoroughly describes all of the characteristics of that species. If each characteristic described in the entry correlate with the characteristics of your sample, you've successfully identified your plant. If even one of the characteristics do not correlate, go back to the plates and try again. Now, let's try to put this process into practice and identify the sample that we have here. This is just the end of a branch that I cut off from a tree in my garden, and the leaves are starting to fall off from the cold, but we should still be able to identify it. If you look at it, the leaves are quite broad, and they're not needle-like or scale-like, so it's not going to be section 1. The leaves aren't compounded either, because it's just the one broad leaf for a single leaf stalk. And if you look at the twig, the leaves are alternating on opposite sides and not directly opposite of each other. So if we go into the book, it's going to be in section 5, plants with alternate simple leaves, which is from page 297 to page 371. All right. So, if we look at the plates at the end of this section, we try to look through the leaves. If we take a leaf here, and we kind of look a little bit closer at it, it has these fine teeth, and it's quite long and quite narrow. So, if we look through here, it's not going to be any of these ones, or these. We just keep looking through, try to find one that matches. Now, that looks like the right shape, but if you see, it doesn't have any teeth on it. It's completely smooth. And these ones do have fine teeth, if it'll focus. So we keep looking through. These ones have 2 coarse teeth. Here we go. Now, if I were to say, I would think the fire cherry is the closest match. So, let's look over here. Fire cherry is on page 237. Here we are. Fire cherry, growing as a shrub or a small tree, has narrow leaves and clusters of buds at the ends of the branches or twig tips. Let's check that out on our sample here. So if we use our, here we go, magnifying glass, we can look at the buds. They seem to be hairy, and it looks like there's only one of them. So I'm not sure that the fire cherry is the right option. But let's keep reading and see that there are some similar species with similar looking leaves. The only other native cherry with native leaves is black cherry, but that species has leaves with hairy midribs beneath and lacks clustered buds. If we look, this back here is the midrib of the leaf. If we look at it, it's not hairy. It doesn't feel very hairy. So I don't think it's the black cherry either. But we also see peach. Peach is right below. Occasionally, the cultivated peach, a native of Asia, escapes the thickets. It has very long, narrow, toothed leaves, hairy buds, which we saw here, and fruits. False end buds, hairless twigs, pitted seeds, and pink flowers. The buds are not clustered at twig tips. I think all of those characteristics match our sample here. So I am going to say that this is a peach, which I know because that is a peach tree out there that I cut it off of. So that's how you use this book. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.